I mean, for me, it was war coverage. I learned so many things from watching what happens when a society completely falls apart or there's attacks happening constantly. How do humans act? What do they do? How do they survive? That was something that only generally journalists or soldiers get. And as for a journalist, you get to be on the outside kind of watching all this happen without having to take part in it.
Sara Sidner.
Kamau Bell. It's been a minute.
We were just trying to figure that out. When's the last time we saw each other in real life?
I don't want to believe that this is when.
But it is.
But I think it was back when you were doing our show.
Mm-hmm. United States of America?
Yeah.
That's my show. I know it's CNN's show, but it's my show.
It did have your name in it.
It's still my show.
Just to be fair.
I would love to see them reboot it with somebody else.
Your show on our network.
Fair enough.
Let's do it that way.
Fair enough. I would love to see United States of America with, Roy Wood Jr. I would love to see that. I would have feelings. I love Roy, but I would have feelings.
You'd have feelings?
I'd have some feelings. I would DM and be like, hey, man, good luck. Also.
Okay, well, that's mine.
Yeah. But,
I think it was then. I think we were.
When we were in like the hinterlands of Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you made me cry. I remember that. Not on purpose. I didn't even know it was coming. It just came out. But it's like, it was some stressful stuff, right? I mean.
Yeah, it's weird. It was when America was going through things. And we were stressed about things. I don't know if you remember that time.
I do.
Years ago when America felt like it was being pulled apart.
Yeah. And it was really, I think I didn't realize how I was feeling in my gut because I pushed things down to be able to do this job. Lucky for you, it all came out during that. I was boo-hooing.
I mean, I wasn't so cynical to be like, oh, this is good television. I was more like, oh, my friend is crying, and I didn't expect that, and I hope she's okay.
No, I was okay, but it was necessary too.
Well, I think so. First of all, welcome to my podcast. I mean, that was all part of it, but this is the official welcome. Who's with me? I consider you to be a person that I'm with, and I believe you're with me, whether or not we work for the same corporate entity anymore or not. And I also always start by giving people their flowers.
Like this.
Exactly.
Let me lean back.
You lean back.
Like Fat Joe said, let me lean back.
Exactly. Because I just feel like I want to have people on here who I admire, who I respect, who I'm friendly with. And also I've admired you at CNN since before we even our paths had crossed. Like just as a reporter on the air who was out in the world, if the shit was going down, you were there.
Yeah.
For years and years.
I'm oddly attracted to conflict.
You would have to be because you were always there.
Yeah, but I hate it. So at the same time, it's that duality that I really dislike conflict. I prefer to have a chat, even with people who I completely disagree with or who completely disagree with me, even people who do not like me. Like I prefer to sit down and have a conversation and not be in conflict. But for some reason, there is a part of me that wants to see conflict. I think it's because I want to see how the resolution happens and want to be a part of the resolution. Doesn't always work that way, as you saw. But to understand the world, people are the most honest when they're in conflict. They say things straight from their mind. There's no filter. Kind of like my family. So I realize that there is some synergy there with the way that my family also is.
Yeah, I mean, all of that sounds very familiar to me about how it's like I really don't want to be in conflict, but I always feel like, but if I'm working on a thing, there's got to be a conflict that's being worked on. Yeah. And then suddenly you find yourself, oh man, and here I am talking to the Klan. You know what I mean? Like it's like that.
I've literally had that too. We have that in common.
Yeah, we have that in common. I think we both have had maybe the same guys. It's hard to tell. They have the hoods on sometimes.
It can be a little confusing.
But yeah, and suddenly you're like in this position of like, and maybe please speak to this, that you're like, this is my common refrain in those situations. Whose idea was this? Oh, yeah, it was mine.
Yeah.
Like it helps me not to be able to blame anybody. Like,
there is no one to blame when Sara Sidner is covering a conflict but me.
Yeah.
Because there's always the no that could come and say like, I'm not going to do this. And yet I never say no to this thing. But I do value being able to sit across from someone who by many accounts due solely sometimes to my skin color or especially being mixed race. I am like the quintessential person to hate in the genre of the Klan or white supremacy. The mixing of blood is a huge big thing. There is something about being able to have a conversation with someone who feels that way without tearing each other's eyes out that matters to me.
Yes.
I think it is important to show my humanity and to also to try to understand. I'm never going to understand that level of hatred. I'm just never going to. There's not a single person in this world that I hate, even those who may hate me.
You don't hate anybody?
I do not hate anyone. Now, I have felt hatred. I have felt it. Make no mistake.
Okay.
Like I have felt that desire to really like, oh God, I just hate you.
Yeah.
Or as I like to say, can I cuss? I hate your ass, right?
Yeah. You can. I think you can cuss. It's fine.
Okay.
With me. Yeah.
It dissipates though when I see their humanity, because in each and every person that I have ever spoken with, I see something in them that's almost like their childhood self. And that's the way that I think of them. Like, who were you as a kid?
Yeah.
Right. And because we know we're not born with this in our systems, we're taught this.
Yeah.
And so who were you and who was I? I love people. I have always been a lover of humans. My friends are like, oh, I hate people. Right?
Yeah.
I'm always the opposite. And they're like, oh, we're so sick of you. I love people. But I genuinely do. And I can see that kernel of humanity in every single human being.
I mean, I am, I'm an only child, which I feel
Same.
like, yeah. Oh, okay. So this is all starting to come together. Because I feel like I've started to say on stage, like if there was no such thing, in my stand-up act, if there's no such thing as like racism and America's white supremacy, my main identifier would be only child. Like I feel like that's how I process the world. I am black, and I'm happy to be black, and I thank you for giving me a good one. I'm not fighting against the being black. I'm not. I love it, and I've invested a lot of time in it at this point. Don't take it away. But if I just like when I'm by myself in a room alone, as I was as a kid a lot, and then I would go out and interact with the world, and the ways in which I felt like the world and me didn't always sync up. A lot of times it was black. A lot of times it was only child.
I have never thought about that, but I would probably say for me it would be woman, right?
Okay.
Or girl, then woman.
Okay.
But the only child thing is huge. With growing up, and I should.
I mean, I'm saying for me.
Yeah. No, it's huge for me as well. And I should be clear. I'm my mother's only child. There were children that my father had, but I didn't grow up with them.
Then you're an only child.
So it
I had a
was just
stepsister.
me. Yeah.
But I grew up mostly by myself.
And I love them as sisters, but I didn't learn of them until later. So it was me and mama. And, one thing that I think people don't know about me, even in my own office, is that deep down, I am country. I mean, country. I mean, no shoes, horses, a pet pig, a pet guinea pig, a cat, a dog, picking up snakes.
Picking up snakes.
No jokes.
That's
for real.
country.
I'm not afraid
is picking
of
up
them.
snakes a religious country or just picking up snakes?
No, just like they were there.
Not like talking to snakes, but just picking up snakes.
We had rat snakes hanging from a tree.
I don't know what a rat snake is.
They're these big black snakes, and they would get up in trees. And so sometimes you'd look up and you're like, oh, there's a rat. Now, listen, that sounds like a nightmare to 90% of the people I know. They're
I go
like
99%. I think you're underselling a big black snake hanging from a tree as being a nightmare only to 90% of people. Yeah.
I know, because the symbol is the symbol that a snake is, but actually they're really interesting creatures. I mean, I don't see you picking them up at any time.
I'm not trying to argue against them as interesting creatures.
Yeah.
Just not hanging from a tree outside my house. No, thank you.
Yeah, I have no fear of that. But there's also another part of me that's really a city girl. So I'm a lot of things, but I think being an only child set the stage for me to find so many things interesting and be curious about other human beings, because I was alone a lot with animals. So animals and I, like, we have a language, right? I wanted to be Dr. Dolittle so bad. So bad. I still to this day, I'm like, I'm sure you can understand me. Now, please speak back. We don't have to tell anybody. Speak back.
I'll keep the secret.
I'll keep it a secret, I swear.
Yeah.
So there's a shared language there, but sometimes humans confound me. And I think that's from being an only child.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I don't have the animal thing. I'm not an animal person. My family has a dog. I do not have a dog.
Okay.
So it's just like my.
So you're still trying to figure out humans, just in
Yeah, no,
general.
I'm still stuck on humans. But I do think that it's interesting because you just said a bunch of things. Like it wasn't until I started to prepare for today that I found out that you were from Florida. Mm-hmm. Is that the country thing?
It is.
Because Florida's a lot of things.
It is.
People think of Florida can be a lot of things.
And I am very much like that. I'm a lot of things because I was in the country as a child.
Yeah.
We lived in several places. California is also home.
Okay.
So we lived in several places, but I lived in the country part of like
What is
North Florida.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and then
So that's on Miami Lakes or something.
I moved to Miami Lakes.
Okay.
And that's where I finished high school.
Is Miami Lakes? Because I know is that a suburb of Miami?
It's not just Miami Lakes. It's Hialeah, Miami Lakes.
Okay.
Right. And so it's just a whole different life. So I have had as many lives as cats have and then some. Mm-hmm. So when people are talking to me, they don't realize that I can talk like this all day long if you want me to. But it's natural. Like I grew up around it. Like what's the problem?
Look at you. Well, it's funny because my dad lives in Alabama. Still lives in Mobile, Alabama, and I will go back, and my wife will be like, "Oh, your accent's kicking in," and it's just for me, it's just like because it's easier to talk to people that way. Like
and it's natural. It's not. I'm not faking it.
Yeah, no.
This is the accent that's in my head when I'm talking to myself. It is that accent.
You talk to yourself in a Southern accent.
Yeah,
that is.
Is that weird?
I mean, it's not weird. I just didn't know it. People with Southern accents, of course, talk to themselves in Southern accents.
Right?
I just didn't know that your Southern was so embedded that it was like, you're girl, you better. Yeah.
You need to, okay, wait, I got to just tell this story. Okay. So when I was a kid, my mother is British. So imagine this.
Oh my God.
I know.
See, pause for a second.
A lot of things.
Because here's the thing about you too. I was on the edge, like we were both in this. We came up before the internet knew everything about us.
Right.
So I remember seeing you on TV and just being like, okay, she's something, but I don't know what she is exactly. It could be black, could be mixed race, could be Sri Lankan. I don't know. But she's something. She's something.
I like that you threw Sri Lankan in there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's a good pull.
Because I lived in India and people thought I was Indian.
Of course they did.
Right?
No, there's nobody surprised. And so and then you Google, it's like you're also the journalism that you probably kept everything off the internet.
Yeah, I was like, who cares?
Yeah, no,
right?
for sure.
There was a part of me that said, who cares? But there is also a part of me that's like, you need to know that this human being has a lot of different parts to her. And I used to be afraid to admit some of the parts that existed. And the country part, when you're in the city, was one of those things because people would think they're like, oh, she's dumb.
Oh, she's...
right, which is such a asinine thing to think about people from the South, right?
Sure. If you think about the beginning of this country, all of our great black intellects were from the South,
Right, people forget.
Yeah.
But so there was this pulling back of telling that side of my own story, even with friends, especially when I was in Miami, right?
Yeah, because Miami is like sort of considers itself to be not the South.
Right. Because it is like almost a different country.
Yeah.
The way in which people are in Miami, because you have a huge Caribbean influence. You've got Jamaicans, you've got Haitians, you've got the Cubans, right? And it is a true mix from the Caribbean and Latin America that you don't see in the rest of the state.
Yes.
Right?
No,
Not like that.
It's very much like California, where California should be 6 states.
Yes.
And Florida should be at least 3.
Yeah. There's just, it's the middle of it is different. The panhandle is different. Then you've got the southern part of it. And then you've got Orlando, where everyone's like, oh, Disney World. So it's a lot of things, but I'm a lot of things.
So wait, and I interrupt you, British mom.
Yes. My mother is from Britain and not from London. She's from the countryside.
Oh, so you earned it twice, the country.
Yeah, I'm double country.
Yeah.
I'm in she was near Leicester, and I meet British people all the time. I was like, oh, my mother's from near Leicester. And they're like, oh, yes, we know. And I was like, do you know where? And they're like, I'm sure we know. And then I tell them where, and they're like, never heard of it. And I'm like, right. Because there's like 3 people that live there, and those 3 people were my family.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of farms. And so the country is really a full half of me. Like I'm deeply embedded and loving the country.
So you're mixed black and white, and then also mixed country and city.
Yes.
I mean, country and
Yes,
city.
that's a good way to put it. But when I was living in the country,
Look at that. Sorry to kid.
living in a city, living in a country. When I was living in the country, there was this little school that I went to, and my mother wanted to make absolutely sure that I knew the black side of my family. My father was not involved much in my life.
That's
but
black, mom's white.
That's correct. My
I mean, you
mother's
said
white,
British,
my
and I
father's
assumed,
black.
but I didn't want
Yeah.
to.
No, there are black Brits,
people.
of course.
Idris
And
Elba exists.
She made sure, she was like, this is a part of you. You must know this. And so I spent a lot of time with a lot of my relatives from my father's side, my grandmother, my uncles and aunts. And another way, in the South, people from all over the place. She's a single mom, so I'm going off to school, and we had this one class where I cannot get it out of my mind. I can see vividly there was a teacher, and she would bring her mother in, who was probably in her early 70s, late 80s, and she came in to play the piano for us, and she would bang on that thing like she was, I don't know, think of somebody. Ray Charles is too tame.
Okay.
She was like the Black Liberace.
Okay, all right.
She would go off, right?
Okay.
And she used to sing this song, and she would bang on the piano. She's like, "Great balls of fire!" She would get
Jerry Lee
fired
Lewis.
up. Jerry Lee Lewis.
That's what I actually thought when you
Yes.
said banging on the piano.
Thank
I thought
you.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah.
Lewis. So she would bang on it, and then she would get so hyped up. She would say, "Great balls of fire." And from that moment when that happened, because it was like something, the spirit took over her.
Yep.
And my mother happened to be in there once. So that is a language that my mom and I will say to each other. When things are getting crazy, we'll be like, "Great balls of fire." But those are the memories. It's like the core memories that I have of the South and Black folks and the care and excitement in the stories that they would tell and the way that we tell stories. So much of that came from those experiences.
Well, I also want to give your mom some flowers right now, because to be a white mom, a British white mom, and to recognize that your mixed race black child needs black people.
Yeah.
That's not how all white parents of black kids do it.
And this was a while ago.
This
This was back
is
in
not
the day.
what it was like. She didn't do it because she went to a website that recommended that she do it, or or got a book from the whatever that said this is how to raise mixed race kids. Yeah.
She understood the assignment, if you will.
That's a real understanding because a lot of white parents, and I say this because I know a lot of transracial adoptees, and their white parents, because they had two white parents, a lot of them just said, "I don't care if you're black, white, or green, or purple, you're just my kid." And the black kid would later get up and be like, "Yeah, but I need some black people around me."
Yeah. Well, society cares.
Yeah, society cares.
I mean, and you can try to ignore it, but good luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is a part of you. So why not explore it? And I've explored both.
Yeah.
My mother, she had a heavy accent coming from the countryside in England. And people used to say, "Damn, ma'am, are you from France?"
You from France?
We would get that a lot, right? Because that was the touchstone, and people didn't like
recognize
France.
it as the British accent that they heard on TV.
No.
Yeah.
And so there was always this thing of feeling a little bit like an outsider no matter where I went.
Yeah.
That definitely shaped me.
Were you ever a kid who was like embarrassed to introduce your mom to your friends, or like because she's weird, or like,
No.
Okay, good for you.
Because we're weird.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you're weird, and you accepted your weirdness, and you knew, we're just weird. So
My mama she's a big personality.
Oh, that's cool.
It still does.
Oh,
and
good.
so, no, that's my mom.
Yeah.
And sometimes people would be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But if you see us, all my friends, when you see us side by side,
yeah.
it's clear.
Why do you think your mom knew to put you around black folks? Like, what did she,
I think, first of all, she loved black folks, obviously.
Well, at least one.
Sorry, Mom. Inappropriate.
Yeah, at least one.
She loved exploring culture. And that is across the board. She was the person in the room that always knew who the leaders of different countries were. And that's partly from being European. And you just...
They just grow up knowing stuff.
Look,
there
have been a lot of wars, right?
Yeah. And they're all
so
right there.
tight, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always
yeah.
say, like, in Europe, the countries are like states in the United States, right?
For sure.
That's how close they are, and similar to us in our country with states. So she was always fascinated and always reading and always open to trying to understand, which I think I certainly have some of that in my system.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
Apple does not fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
So I think she just understood that I was going to need that, just as she sort of needed to understand American culture as well. She told me that she was shocked. This was the land of, milk and honey, where when she came to the States, and she was shocked at sort of the state of some parts of the United States. She had no idea the amount of poverty that existed, because what was being kind of put out there was very different than what she saw in reality.
And I don't know what your mom's experience was, because there's also a thing in England that there's the dole, and there's this idea that and there's nationalized health care. So there's certainly poverty in England, but there's also just a more developed social safety net, I would say. Yeah.
And grappling with understanding that, it took some time, and I'm watching her kind of struggle and try to figure herself out. But the one thing, and I always say this, and people are like, oh, privilege. I was like, I had privilege because my mother was well educated. She got a free education and believed in it. And so I had never questioned whether I was going to college, while as some of my friends did. And so it was never like a question. It was like, this is just what you do.
Even that's a privilege, as you say.
It is.
The privilege of I'm going to go to college.
Right,
it is. It's not a thing to wrestle with. Should I? Can I?
Yeah.
Will I? It's just like, oh no, we have to figure out where and how.
Exactly. Exactly.
What did your mom do for a living?
A lot of things.
Okay.
She eventually became a teacher, but she had a mental health license at one point. Listen, when we first got here, she was a waitress at a cocktail bar. Yeah, the song that comes into my head. Working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. So I remember her coming home and spilling the tips out onto the table. And every now and then there'd be like a 50-cent piece. And those were treasures to me, right? So sifting through the coins, pennies were in there too, sifting through and finding something like that. I still remember the response to that.
So how did journalism become your thing?
Good God.
Because that's also part of a privilege, to think I can be a journalist, that's not, especially when you're saying you're coming from poverty or from poor
we didn't have money.
You didn't have money. To think that I can be, because when we're coming up, we're the same age. The TV does not have people on it that looks like you.
We didn't have TV.
Well, this interview's over. All right. I can't be around this level.
I know.
You didn't have TV?
No.
Not a TV?
No.
Or you didn't watch TV?
We didn't have a TV.
Was your mom anti-TV?
She wasn't, but she also... Okay, so now you done did it.
Yeah,
okay.
No, you're right. And I'm glad I did it, because I didn't know this would be, I'd get so mad or so fired up.
While the first place we lived in, the first couple of places we lived in Florida, we did not have electricity. We did not have running water. So
we're there.
Yeah. And part of that was a choice, but it was like, this is the land that we can afford.
Okay.
And so we pumped water, and, I did not think I was going to have this conversation today.
I'm so excited that you had this conversation.
We
I'm good at
water.
this. When I talk to you, I get things. I don't even I'm just asking questions.
So that experience, it was like, I cannot be bored. To this day, if you put me in a room with nothing in the room, just the four walls, I will entertain myself for hours.
That's also an only child thing, but also I guess if you take away no TV and we got to pump well water, you got things to do all the time.
Which explains why I found things like snakes and other things. It was go outside for real. Be out there and figure it out.
So now I understand that a snake in the tree is actually your favorite television program.
I mean, right? It's like, wow, look at what it's doing now. Watch out for the ones that are poisonous.
I was watching PBS. You were watching actual wildlife.
But here's what I think happened.
Yeah.
So my mother says that my television journalist career is because of rebellion. Because we didn't have a TV, and it was like, read books, do something else, be outside, go do things. But when I would go to my friends' homes, they had a TV.
Yeah, they did.
And guess where I was? Well, we would be out playing. As soon as I got the chance to go in and sit down in front of that thing, I was mesmerized.
Yeah, yeah,
Mesmerized.
Yep.
So I missed a lot of the shows that you all know as core memories as kids, but I got them later
Okay.
because I would like go over to friend's house and then I'd see like one episode of something and then
That's so funny.
so sad.
That's
And then I would come back and be like, whoa, like keyed up on it, right?
That's
so
funny.
Sesame Street and all that. Yes, I saw it, but later on, I saw it a little bit after my age group would have experienced.
You're like 22 years old watching Sesame Street.
22. I'd do that right now.
Okay, fair, fair,
to
fair.
be fair, it is why
you're
Grover is still my best friend.
You're a journalist and also near and far, you say, Grover. Okay, all right. So near and far. I got you. I got you.
It's true.
Yeah.
He's the monster at the end of the book, my favorite book. So I'm still mesmerized by television. To this day, it still draws me in where it's a whole world that I feel like I am still exploring.
Are you still a TV person? Or I mean, because TV means so many things now.
Okay. Look, TV is everything. It's Netflix.
Yeah,
it's streaming.
It's your
that's
phone.
where we're going. It's
Like,
your phone.
Like, are you watching like TV or are you on your phone?
I'm doing all of it.
Okay, all of it. Yeah.
I'm doing all of it. A lot of time on my computer streaming. I was accused by my co-anchor John Berman of being the person in there that watches the most social media, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But he's like, I think you're addicted, and I was like, you are correct, sir.
No, I think you say, no, I'm employed.
It's like you are correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still mesmerized by it.
No, me too.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's
I've thrown you for a loop, I feel.
Yeah, no, the no plumbing, no TV is really like, I mean,
It wasn't my whole childhood, but it was enough of it.
No, even if it was an hour, like it's worth telling. If you went an hour with no electricity or no running water, that's a breaking news banner as far as I'm concerned. That's not nobody, because there's the thing about you that is like, you certainly, I mean, you sort of came up during the era of like the journalist.
Yes.
Like
Big J journalism is what they called it.
Yeah,
right?
Talk about that coming up in that era, because that was when like journalists, they all had opinions.
They did.
But they were supposed to act like they didn't have an opinion.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to be, and also there was.
But if you go back and look at Edward R. Murrow, excuse me, like there was a bent, like right, and now there are awards in his name, that are coveted.
Big J.
Yeah. So I think, telling the truth. The other thing with journalism is because my mother read a lot. Words are still also mesmerizing to me. I love learning different words even now, and to be able to understand something or have something be written beautifully. I love that. I love seeing other people do that. And one of the things that I got to watch as a kid when I would go into the house, usually it was kind of dark. It's like, okay, the sun goes down. It's time to get inside.
Yeah.
If I was at my friend's house, what was on? 60 Minutes was on. 2020 was on. The news was on. And so that was another window. And I loved the way that stories were told on 2020 and 60 Minutes, because I would always go, oh my God, I didn't know that. Whoa, this is interesting. And who are these people doing this and getting to ask the questions and getting to go around the world on the company's dime?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I always tell people my international experience is a little bit selfish as much as it was wanting to serve, because I do still very much believe that journalism is in service to the community and in service to the population, and it shouldn't be in service to yourself. But there is another part of that, which is it helps you make a living, so that's in service to yourself, and it opens your eyes to worlds that you probably would never ever see, even if you're the richest person in the world.
For sure.
Right?
Sure.
The access to things, to whether it be, I mean, for me it was war coverage. I learned so many things from watching what happens when a society completely falls apart or there's attacks happening constantly. How do humans act? What do they do? How do they survive? That was something that only generally journalists or soldiers get. And as for a journalist, you get to be on the outside kind of watching all this happen without having to take part in it. It is horrifying and also a gift of understanding. because unfortunately, human beings have not figured out, even in 2026, how to deal with their issues and not have deadly conflict. It enrages me on one level, but I also understand that really the true battle is inside of us. The true battle that causes us to act the way that we do out there really has to do with the conflicts that still exist in here. That is really clear to me. And I'd argue that point down to any damn body you put in front of me. That's what's happening.
That the conflict is inside of us that we then externalize.
100%.
Yeah.
It's ego. It's the desire to take something that you want without having to pay for it. It's the
fear of your fear of the other.
100%.
Instead of saying, I should investigate my fear, it becomes, I should demonize the other.
100%. It happens every day in politics. It happens in geopolitics. It happens in your own community. And sometimes it happens in your own house.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that conflict, I have it too. Like, I am not a saint, please. I have that conflict too. That's why I know that this conflict, if it got out, well, I'd be a terror. I would be a terrible person. But I've tried to understand what is that feeling that I get when I feel threatened.
Yeah.
Right? Or when someone calls me a name. Why do you want to react? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll punch you in the face. But that's not what we do in our house.
That's not what we
in
do.
fact, my mother very early on had me sit down and watch the 3-hour movie of Gandhi very early on. So the first fight that I got into with school, I got my butt kicked. I got my
By
butt
your mom?
kicked. No, by another kid who thought I had pulled her hair. And in 4th grade, Chandra kicked my behind. And I wouldn't fight back. Why wouldn't I fight back?
Oh, because she showed you Gandhi.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, there's lessons to take from Gandhi, but maybe she should also read you the autobiography of Malcolm X to balance it out. I understand the power of nonviolence, but also.
Yeah. I think I might have taken it a little bit too far. So, and my friends laugh, boy, at that. They're like, really? Okay.
No, I'm
you
like
really went
Gandhi.
there.
Yeah.
It was like nonviolent resistance. When you are getting your tail kicked, maybe resistance is okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe you need to protect yourself.
Yeah, some resistance.
So, but those are lessons those are, again, core memories that sit with me as I make my way through the world. And I'm sometimes confounded that people don't look inward a little bit more because the answers are there.
So I guess I want to ask a little bit about your journey from where'd you go to Big J Journalism School?
University of Florida, home of the Fighting Gators.
Well-renowned, Big J Journalism School.
It is a Big J Journalism School.
So I would imagine when you get out that there's a path that, again, we're not talking about a time. No one even knew the initials DEI. So we're not talking about, I would imagine that there's a path they maybe tried to put you on and you must have tried to break out of that path, or did you quickly go, I'm going overseas?
No. In fact, that was my mama's idea. And I fought her. I was like, I am American. I'm going to be in America.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell the stories in America. And I'm going to talk to people in America.
Yeah, what was the goal? Was the goal just to be like an anchor on the news? What was the goal?
Okay, so I went back. I thought I had different goals as an adult. I had told myself, like, you were way more high-minded than you actually were.
Yeah.
I went back and someone sent it to me. They're like, girl, did you say this? I'm like, oh, I did. I was like, I'm going to be the next Barbara Walters, right? Because I watched a lot of 2020.
Yeah. And also she was the example, the avatar.
Right. And she had gone through so much. So that's why I talk about, being Black and being a woman. Like, she talked about eventually some of the things. She was given all these soft stories and, cutesy wootsy things. And she wanted to do more hard news. And there's always that battle. And so I was like, I'm going to do hard news. I'm going to go out there and tell stories. And I had a professor named Dr. Burke, who was a former Vietnam war correspondent. And I'm sure that settled into my little brain because he was hard. He was grumpy. He would cut us off and be like, no, that's not how it is.
I don't need to hear the end of that sentence.
Right. You don't know what you were talking about. Right. He would tell us, like, if you got into this to make money, fortune, and fame, get out. You're not going to last 3 seconds. He was like, you're never going to get a job. And if you do, you're going to be getting coffee for somebody and you're going to be sleeping on the floor and you're not going to have any, I mean, he was like, this is no joke. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. The first many years of my career, I made nothing. I made
and it's
so
even
little.
harder now for people coming up in journalism.
It is. It kills me that when you look at the cost of living, like the pay does not match still to this day in your first few jobs.
Yeah.
So it's a real commitment, but it also pains me because if you come from not having any money, it's very hard to stay in it.
That's where the privilege of, these are one of those careers where often people come into them who come from wealth.
Yeah.
Because they have the ability to be broke or get an internship where they don't make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mom was working, and by then, my first job, I did an internship for free. Now, in some places, they pay. So I think, their rules have been made, thank goodness, where you get at least minimum wage. But again, I was making minimum wage. Like if you strung out how much I was making and how many hours I was working, I worked it out one day and I'm like, girl, you're making less than minimum wage.
No, because there's no clocking out in the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tell students, I'm like, do you like homework? Because if you don't, get out, because you are constantly reading and learning. But yeah, I think that school, it did prepare me for my first job. Like it did. I can't say that I was good at it. I was green and terrible, but it prepared me for the kind of work that I wanted to do. Because they were serious about it and they wanted us to understand that the gravity of doing what we do and the ethics behind it, they were very, very serious about making sure that we understood that, hey, you can't just go out there and say anything you want about anybody, and you can't let anybody else do it as well, right? So you got to do fact checking and you got to think about what this is going to mean to someone, right? Mean to their reputation. And I do think about that when I'm talking to someone. I'm like, this might be the first and only time this person is on television, but back then, right?
Yeah.
Now everybody's got their own personal television
their own
called a phone,
broadcaster.
right?
Yeah.
But then it was like, think about what this might mean. And it didn't mean I didn't ask a hard question. It just meant realize the consequence and, be sure about what it is you're doing.
I mean, I learned that on United Shades too. Like, and again, I wasn't really doing traditional journalism on United Shades.
You weren't, but you were asking the questions that we would ask.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
And
I
were
was saying
joking, but
we were backed by journalists, and we wanted to, and we had to be journalistically rigorous, which I wanted to be. So you also sometimes were like, so the part of me was like, I want to make sure this person's going to tell a story they've never told on TV like this before. But I also don't want to have them ring themselves out on camera and then go, good luck, bye.
Right.
And then it airs months later and look at you ringing yourself out on camera. And it was good for us, but you're now sort of being sensitive
hard.
to like how you hold people.
I think that is one of the lessons in journalism that I learned that I didn't know from school. It is that that you're telling someone's story or having them tell their story. And that's a part of their now history, but it's also a part of yours.
Yes.
And their history then sits in your body and your heart and never goes away.
Yeah.
And your history with them never goes away, especially on complex, difficult, heartbreaking stories, which we cover a lot. And so those ties, they're not easily untied. You may not speak to someone for months and years. I was just in Las Vegas, and I was there very shortly after the horrific shooting, the deadliest mass shooting that we've seen in the United States. And the first thing I did when I landed, I was like, I haven't been here in a really long time. Let me call this family whose daughter was killed and had these kids, right? And I talked to the kids and I interviewed her parents. And I was like, hey guys, I'm in Vegas. I know it's been a long time since we've talked, but I just want to see how you're doing. And they're like, oh, we moved out of Vegas, but we remember obviously our daughter and mother, and we're so glad that you reached out. But like, it never leaves you.
No, that's a lot that you would reach out, because you've met a lot of people.
I have.
And sometimes the little bit of time you spent with them, they're going to remember for the rest of their lives because they were on the TV, but you were in the middle of talking to 800 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when I do remember, like, I don't know, it all comes flooding back, the pain that they experienced and being in the room and being with them. It all comes back, and it's part of my DNA now.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. You must have had that same experience.
Yeah, for sure. What was your first like out there on the road like thing where you were like, oh, I'm in it?
You know what? It was in Oakland, California.
Fair enough.
It was in
Wow.
Oakland,
What
California.
what was the occasion?
I reported in a lot of different places, but this one sat with me. You know, as a reporter that's used to covering conflict, shootings were, a big issue. And in the flatlands, right? MacArthur Avenue and all that. You're well familiar.
Yes.
So I pitched this idea of like, let's spend 48 hours in Oakland, in the flatlands, in the places where we hear a lot of police blotter, there's a lot of issues, right?
And you were working in the Bay.
I was working in the Bay Area
Okay,
in
okay.
local television at KTVU. Shout out to KTVU, shout out to the Bay.
Yep.
And so they agreed. They said, okay, you'll go there. You'll spend, 48 hours overnight staying with the family. And we did. And that night there was a shooting near the family's home. She had a little boy, a little child. And we saw her running in and, checking, putting the child down. And I'd covered so many murders and shootings there. And I don't know, that one just sat in my heart because you always see the story about the family who's lost someone, whose loved one has been murdered. But you don't see all the other stuff, right? Where this to them is a war zone every single day.
Just because they didn't lose somebody,
Right.
this doesn't mean they're not affected by
Right.
being around this.
Dealing with this is extremely anxiety provoking and trying to protect not only yourself but your child, this innocent being who learns this far too fast, the dangers of the streets, right? So it was just one of those things that stuck with me where I was like, I'm in it. I can hear it and I'm feeling it and I'm watching this person try and grapple with this, but I get to leave.
That's back to the United Shades thing. I'm sort of get to be here for a little bit and go and take it in.
Yeah.
But I get to go home. That's a line from the very first episode of United Shades when I was at the Klan.
Yeah.
At the end, I go, but I get to leave. Yeah.
And so, I lived near Lake Merritt, and it's not without its problems as well.
But it's different.
But not that extreme, not like that, right? And so for me, there is a guilt in it,
Yeah, survivor's remorse, or sort of like you feel like a little bit of a tourist.
Yes.
I get to sort of spend 48 hours here, and sort of tell my story, but then I get to go back to the place I live that is safer than this, or I feel is safer than this. Yeah.
In my head, there's this mentality of trying to save something or someone from it, knowing that I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to like open my house, like just come live with me. Like, come over here, right? I mean, literally.
Well, that's the next thing I want to ask you about, and then we're wrapping it up because I know you have many things to do. The thing I feel like I've seen you do, and I would point to this moment, but you may have a different moment, is sort of accept the fact that I'm a journalist, but I'm also a human being out here. I remember you, it wasn't called George Floyd Square at the time, but in the midst of 2020 COVID, the news goes, wait a minute, something else has happened, and it's George Floyd had been murdered by the Minneapolis police. And you're out there on the scene as you are everywhere, but there would be, I remember specifically a clip of somebody basically like, who are you and what are you doing here? And you sort of went, maybe it was Country Sarah came out of like, not in a bad way, just like, yes, I'm a person and I'm going to talk to you. Yeah. And I'm not just going to pretend like I don't hear you that journalists do sometimes, or I'm not going to talk to you like a journalist. I'm going to talk to you like a human being, which at that point in the country, we were going through so much with COVID that we needed a human being out there. They wanted to trust that a human being was covering this situation.
I have learned this too, which sounds like something you should know, but human being first, everything else later. Human being first.
That's not how a lot of journalists do it. It's like big J journalists.
You know what? It needs to be revisited, as the peoples say. It needs to be human being first. If someone, and I remember, I think Bradley from 60 Minutes,
Ed Bradley.
Ed Bradley
Yeah.
from 16. Sorry. There was a story that he did where somebody, I think, was drowning or something was going on. I remember this. And I don't remember if there was criticism, but I think there might have been where he went out to try to help save somebody from drowning.
Yeah.
Criticize me all day long.
Exactly.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
If the journalist in me says, I'm only here to observe and someone is drowning,
Yeah.
fire me.
Yeah.
Because my humanity will be lost if I don't get in that darn water. And yes, I can swim.
Yeah.
And go and pull that person out. I don't care. Kill the story. Do what you got to do.
Oh, well, I guess that story ruined.
Because in the end, I do not want to look back and say, I lost my humanity. Because this job can make you lose it.
Yeah.
Trust and believe the things that you see, the horrible things that you see human beings do to each other is so impactful. And yes, I get depressed. And yes, I get anxious. And yes, it lives in me. And yes, it messes with me. Yes, I cry. Yes, I do all the things. Sometimes I scream in my pillow. Sometimes I scream at people. Sometimes I'm walking down the street in New York and I'm just like, shut the hell up. Right? I mean, it comes out in ways, right? But I am a human being first. So if the humanity in me gets lost, and I've told myself this, if you start to lose your humanity for real, like you can start saying and thinking things that you know are inhumane, then you have to leave. You don't get to stay and do that. You don't have the privilege of staying and talking to people, because if you lose that, you've lost everything. So that's where I am with that. Like, and there are plenty of stories where, I mean, look, watching an officer who has all the power and the one standing around with a knee on someone's neck and the guy screaming for his mama nearly killed me. Because I watched it over and over and over again. I was trying to get the timing and the cadence right and how many times this was said and how many times he said, I can't breathe. And, all of that still sits in me, right? Watching the crowd and people trying to help and that help not being accepted. I understand police policy. I understand all of that. I get it. But watching that, it lives in my soul.
Yeah.
Right? Seeing bombs fall and seeing the result of that, seeing children dismembered and dead babies' bodies in hospitals. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Right? And showing that and saying, I think you should see this, because this is what war looks like. And it's not a game. It's not anything that you're thinking in your head like, oh, we should just bomb the hell out of them. Damn it, have you seen what they do? Have you experienced what they do? Have you felt the rattle in your chest? And then the consequence of it? It's so ugly. It's so disgusting. And yet, here we are doing it again. Here we are as human beings not seeing that there is an alternative. We have some of the smartest minds ever. We have more information at our fingertips than ever in the history of humanity. But we haven't figured ourselves out yet. Why do I feel like I'm preaching today?
You are. That's why I didn't want to interrupt the sermon. I feel like we could end it there. I have a couple more questions.
And I just want to say to you, let me hold your hand.
Okay. All right.
Laughter is the cure, man. I love comedians with every bit of my soul. I go down to the Comedy Cellar.
Oh, nice.
Spend time just sitting there listening to people coming up with their sets, right? And then going down and listening. But comedians have a special role, I think, in our society. Very much like journalists, they're telling us the truth. But in your case, we get to laugh.
I appreciate that. Because
we need it.
Well, the thing I want to say is that I get called a journalist very regularly now. People introduce me or say, I love your journalism. And I'm sort of always two labels I push back against, not because I'm ashamed of them, because I just don't know that I'm doing them, is journalism and activism. Like, people call me an activist. And I'm like, I'm not. No, an activist is a job. I'm engaging in activism. a journalist is a job. I'm using the tools of journalism. But I think one of the things that I steer clear of the title of journalist is because of the big J label of like, you're supposed to be like, these are just the facts.
Yeah, but
And I don't want anybody to think that I think that that I don't have an opinion.
they are the facts, but they're the facts with context.
With context.
Right. And so the context part is the tricky part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you do consider yourself a comedian, do you not?
I do. That's the one I'll take. That's the one I'll take. Yeah.
I think that there is, and look at me showing my opinions. What kind of journalist am I? But comic relief, because you guys will slap us in the face with truth.
Yeah.
And we will laugh about it.
Yeah.
Right. If I slap somebody in the face with truth, I get slapped back.
Yeah.
Right. Just look at my feed.
Yeah,
right. People come at you. But you know, we've all made our mistakes. There have been jokes, I'm sure, that have gone awry. We have seen,
sure.
you know, there has been a whole thing about what people are saying and whether that's a joke or not. But ultimately, if you can make someone laugh, you have just cleansed their soul.
I think you've opened them up to something in a new way. I think the thing that I'm very conscious of now is a lot of my comedy brethren, and mostly brethren, like not sistren, have used their skills as comedians to sell lies. And so I feel a responsibility now to be like, I gotta be clearly not that.
How so?
What do you mean?
Look,
Which so?
The selling the lies.
Well, which I mean, you know, a lot of I'm a political comedian, and I've labeled myself that for years. Yeah. But I'm not backing candidates generally, and I'm certainly not going to the front row of their inaugurations, and I'm certainly not in a text messages with them, and then saying, "Hey, if you do me this favor, can you do me? I'll do you a favor." I'm not in a transactional state with any politician, and I love Barbara Lee, the mayor of Oakland, and I love Latifah Simon, my congresswoman. But I don't have a transactional relationship. But I'm also not using comedy to pretend like I'm smart and know things, and I'm trying everything I can not to say Joe Rogan, but but like I just think that there's been a lot of comics under that Joe Rogan tree who were not political comedians formerly, who are doing it for access and for power, and Americans are suffering the consequences for it. And I sort of feel like there's that wing of the comedy tree that is Dick Gregory, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Wanda Sykes is under there, Margaret Cho, where it's like, no, we actually want, these jokes are supposed to try to point people in the right, they're supposed to be funny, but also
there's a message.
At the very least, do no harm.
There's messaging.
There's a way in which we're sort of fighting, we're trying to do jokes that help.
See, and this is why people call you an activist. See?
Yeah, you're right. Before I let you go, I just also want to give you so much love and credit and respect for being so open about your health journey.
Yeah.
That has done a lot for people.
I think it's probably done more for me in some ways. I wasn't expecting to do it, honestly. I wanted to keep it quiet and
but you're not a quiet person.
I'm not. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm not. But I am so surprised, pleasantly surprised, which doesn't happen often. I don't get surprised often, and I certainly don't get pleasantly surprised often.
Yeah.
At the amount of care and thoughtfulness and love and deep conversation that I've had in this sister and brotherhood of dealing with cancer.
Yeah.
It is remarkable how something that is so terrifying, right, and that can be so devastating has kind of opened my brain, but it's also allowed people to have deep conversations with me who I just met, right? Just, we don't talk about the weather because a lot of times women will come up to me and they'll say like, hi, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah. And I'll say, hi, I'm, Sarah. And they're like, oh, we know who you are. And then 2 seconds later, right, when I think we're going to talk about the weather or, something in the news that day, they're like, they grab my hand. They're like, I'm a survivor too, or my mom's a survivor too. And then the entire world of conversation is open because we understand each other and what that was like. And so now we don't have to bullshit. We can just get straight to the heart of the things that matter to us. And I'm really thankful for that.
And I know it's a journey, but how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I am, the doctor says cancer free. He's like, but, and I'm like, why do you always have to add negativity to my life? He's like, but it's a sneaky little disease and we got to watch and we got to do. But it really reset me and it's changed me, but it has changed me for the better. And that is a shock to my system because I thought I would not be better after cancer mentally.
Yeah.
I thought I would be far worse.
Well, I also just think because of what we talked about earlier, where our relationship with you changed through specifically those moments of 2020.
Yeah.
Our relationship with you as a journalist and a broadcaster, we saw you open up. Then you were on that show, United Shades of America. We saw you open up on that show. I think that show did a great job with that.
He's like, I'm just saying.
That host did a great job.
He's good.
So that when you came to this, it was like not journalist Sara Sidner has cancer. It's Sara. You know what I mean? It's like you had connected us to you over the last several years in a way that if you hadn't done that, it might just be journalist Sara Sidner has cancer.
That makes my heart grow because I didn't think of it that way.
Oh no, that's the way. I'm glad I said it because that's exactly what it was. I know that for me, when I got to CNN, I liked your work. I remember we actually had a Twitter exchange at one point.
We did, I think.
Where it was not testy, but like I said something and you sort of corrected me.
I was like, and wait a minute.
It was actually connected to
what was it?
Standing Rock. Somebody had said something, and it wasn't, but I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, she
turned around and said something.
She said something, and from that point, I started really following you. And then to get to the point of like everything else in George Floyd, then we became friends, and we did United Shades. So yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm like the public. I saw this happen over time. So by the time you revealed about your health challenges, we were all like, we are with her and she's with us.
That's just that lady, like the news lady. It's people like that's Sara. Like,
Sara, exactly.
I'm glad. I hope that's a thing because I don't want people to see me as this this entity, right? I am human to my core with all the fallible, ridiculous, silly things, all the things. I'm all of those things, good, bad, and sideways. It's all there. Mistakes are always going to be made. I'm going to say the wrong thing because I talk too much. I mean, it's going to happen. But I love human beings and I want for us to be better.
Is there any cause, anything you want to let people know about, anything you want people to sort of focus on? Because this podcast is about helping people get better and pointing people in the right direction.
Look, the Breast Cancer Research Fund, I met this young lady named Sadia Zapp, and she was their communications director. So she's good at communicating. I call her. I'm like, girl, I felt this weird thing in my arm. Should I go to the doctor? I one time called her because you get brain fog. I said, girl, what kind of cancer did we have? Because I'm going into an interview and I forgot. Right. I knew I had breast cancer, but there are, it turns out, a lot of different types. And so she was like, she texted me back. She goes, this is what we have.
This is what we
Yeah, because she had breast cancer too. We had the same. So that's why I was able to.
Okay.
But her introduction into the world in which she works, which their goal is to eradicate breast cancer, like to get rid of it, to end it, right? And so it is all these researchers. And at first it's a small group. It's, it was 50, now it's like 100. But they have an incredible group of researchers and they focus on all manner of things, including the fact that Black women, the statistics are terrible. First of all, the cancers are generally more aggressive in Black women. And it's not just because people are like, oh, lifestyle. No. It's the type of cancer that Black women often get. But the statistics, for the fact that, you are 40% more likely to die if you're a Black woman with breast cancer than if you're a white woman with it. 40%. And when I heard that, I had never heard that statistic before until I got cancer, when I started doing the thing that I do as a journalist, which is going down a rabbit hole. And I was like, this can't be right. And then I checked it and 3 or 4 American Cancer Society. I was like, how? Right? And so they have people that are specifically looking at why that is and trying to figure it out. I cannot be in more love with our scientists than I am after my cancer diagnosis. The work that they do, it is literally curing us, but it's also helping us live with it in ways that we've never. The treatments are different now than they were 20 years ago. They figured out cocktails to give you, not the kind you drink, I wish, but
drug cocktails.
Cocktails of drugs, the way that they give you chemo now, they give it to you with something that stops nausea, something that they give you a steroid so that when you get it, your body doesn't crumble. I worked throughout my whole
I noticed
5 months of chemo.
Yeah.
I worked.
Yeah.
And except for one day, the day that I would get it, because it was a long process. How is that even possible? Because of science.
Because of science.
It's that simple.
Shout out to science.
Shout out to science. And that includes the doctors and the oncologists and the radiologists. We are in an incredible time with the technology that we have. As bad as people, are worried about our technology, there is a chance that things like AI can eradicate these things, make things better quickly, find cancers early, right? In ways that the human eye can't. So this organization is an incredible resource. They've got resources online, bcrf.org.
What's it called? Breast Cancer
Research Fund.
Breast Cancer Research Fund.
And I have had such a warm feeling from them because they invite you in to see, like, this is our lab. And I still haven't made it because there was breaking news and we went to war. But anyway, but they want you to see, like, here's what we're up to. And here are the things we're working on, whether it's triple negative or metastatic. I mean, I've now met women that have cancer for the rest of their lives. And they're still living their lives, which is, right? They're not crumpled in a ball on the floor, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to run marathons and doing this and that, right? They're doing incredible things. But it's only because of the way in which science has advanced, right? And so this organization, I'm down with the BCRF. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. And my last, so are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was
like,
easy.
oh yeah, no, that was easy. I was like, where are we going?
No. We're staying. We're done.
Are we
We're
ride or
done. This is
dying
the
here?
last,
Like, where are we?
Last
are we
cue
off to
question. No, not ride or die.
do some mayhem?
Yes, but no. But you know what I'm saying. Yes. Thank you.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So that was my conversation with my friend, Sara Sidner. It was great to connect with her. As I say this all the time, but we had truly never had a long conversation like that. The longest conversation we had before this was when she was on United Shades of America. She mentioned the Breast Cancer Research Fund, so shout out to them. And please, if you want to go check them out, you can go to give.bcrf.org. That's give.bcrf.org. Again, she's training for a New York City Marathon, which is, I think anybody who trains for a marathon or runs a marathon is like, it's one of the greatest human achievements is running a marathon when you're not a marathon runner by profession. I've never run a marathon. But yeah, so thank you, Sara. Thanks to Rabbit Grin Productions. Thanks to Pushkin Industries. Thanks to Who Knows Best Productions, which is me. Special thanks to Chris Dowd from Fishbone for the music. I always appreciate that, Chris. Me and Chris talked last week. Apparently there's new Fishbone music in the works. We'll have them on when that comes out. And also remember, I'm going to read it right here. It says right here, do something good for yourself, for your community, and for the world. I should probably do that for me too. Do something good for yourself. That's good advice, Kamau. See you next week. Next week's guest, Shannon Lee. Hey, thanks for watching an episode of Who's With Me. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe, share, hit that hype button. I hear it makes all the difference. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the hype button. Thank you.